In World War II, the 761st Tank Battalion emerged, an all-African American unit trained to perfection, yet sidelined by prejudice. They mastered the M4 Sherman, ready to fight for a country that denied them equality. Facing discrimination, they watched less experienced units shipped overseas while they waited. Their motto, "Come out fighting," became a rallying cry. The long wait forged them into a family of warriors. The 761st Tank Battalion was ready for history to call, and when their moment came, they seized it. The 1940s US military mirrored a segregated society. African American soldiers were mostly relegated to support roles. Official policy and racist studies claimed they were unfit for combat. The idea of an all-black tank battalion was unthinkable to many. Pressure for change came from African American leaders and the WWII campaign, victory abroad, victory at home. The 761st's formation was a reluctant experiment, expected by some to fail. These men carried the weight of their entire race's dignity and future. Every action was scrutinized, every mistake magnified. They fought not just for their country, but for respect and equality. Their performance would shape the future of all African Americans in uniform. The stakes were immense, and they knew it. The 761st was under a microscope, determined to shatter the walls of prejudice. Activated in April 1942, the 761st trained in the Deep South, learning to master the M4 Sherman. Under Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, they became one of the best-trained battalions in the Army. But outside the training grounds, they faced constant racism, denied service, threatened, and humiliated. They trained for freedoms they themselves were denied. Despite this, they excelled in every test, earning a reputation for skill and discipline. Yet deployment never came. They waited as less prepared units went to war. Frustration grew, but they refused to let bitterness consume them. They called themselves the Black Panthers, a symbol of strength and defiance. Their motto, "Come out fighting," became a rallying cry. They maintained their tanks, kept their skills sharp, and held onto their pride. For 2 years, they were a weapon waiting to be unleashed. The delay only strengthened their resolve. They were ready for battle, certain their time would come. The 761st was a coiled spring, prepared to prove themselves. When called, they would not hesitate. By autumn 1944, the Allies needed skilled tankers. Casualties were mounting, and Patton's Third Army was running out of options. Patton, a pragmatist above all, requested the 761st for his command. For the battalion, this was the long-awaited validation. On November 7, 1944, Patton addressed them directly. "I have nothing but the best in my army." He made it clear he cared only about results, not color. Patton's words cut through years of doubt. "I don't care what color you are, so long as you kill those Kraut sons of bitches." This was not just a chance to prove themselves, it was recognition of their skill. The waiting was over. The 761st was finally going to war. Their moment had arrived. They were no longer an experiment. They were essential. Patton expected greatness, and the 761st was ready to deliver. The battalion prepared to enter combat, determined to live up to their motto. The time to come out fighting had finally come. The 761st entered combat in Lorraine, France, facing brutal, relentless war from the start. Towns like Moyenvic and Morville became part of their legend. In December 1944, the Battle of the Bulge erupted. Their resilience and heroism during the Bulge were undeniable. The 761st had earned their place in history. After the Battle of the Bulge, the 761st was thrust into breaking the Siegfried Line, Germany's last major defense. The fighting was slow, bloody, and dangerous. Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers became a symbol of their courage. Wounded, he refused evacuation, leading assaults until he was killed in action. His bravery saved lives and embodied the battalion's spirit. The 761st faced constant casualties, but never faltered. They developed tactics to overcome German defences, working closely with infantry. They were the steel tip of the spear, pushing into Germany. By war's end, they had inflicted over 130,000 enemy casualties, captured or liberated dozens of towns, and crossed into Austria. Their journey spanned from France to the heart of the Third Reich. The sacrifices were immense, but their record was extraordinary. They met the Soviets at the Enns River, having fought across a continent. The 761st's valor was unmatched. Their courage and sacrifice changed history. They had proven themselves against all odds. In the war's final weeks, the 761st encountered the horrors of Nazi concentration camps. At Gunskirchenlager, they found thousands of starving, dying prisoners. Hardened by combat, the soldiers were stunned by the suffering they witnessed. They shared rations, provided aid, and offered comfort to survivors. For these men, who had faced racism at home, the experience was deeply personal. They saw hatred taken to its most extreme conclusion. The liberation left an indelible scar, a burden they carried home. They realized their fight was not just for victory, but for humanity itself. The experience gave their struggle new meaning. The 761st understood the true stakes of the war. When the war ended, the 761st returned to a segregated America. No parades, no heroes' welcome. Their story was buried by prejudice, their heroism unrecognized for decades. They became teachers, leaders, and kept their story alive through reunions and advocacy. In 1978, the battalion finally received the Presidential Unit Citation. In 1997, Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Recognition came too late for many, but it affirmed that courage knows no color. The Black Panthers' legacy is a vital part of American history. They fought two enemies, the Nazis abroad and racism at home. Their journey teaches us that true ability cannot be suppressed forever. Heroism is defined by character, not skin color. Their story is not just black history, it is American history. The 761st's courage and sacrifice remind us of the high cost of prejudice and of the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome it.